Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Justin and I like motorbikes. And in today's video, wait, something's different. Huh. All right, well, in today's video, obviously I have a bike lift in the shop now. And on there, I have my Ducati Multistrada V4S. This is a 2024 variety. And I'm a little unnerved right now because this is a Harbor Freight lift, and this is a Multistrada on the lift. So, yeah, I've got questions, but I have my locking bar in there so it doesn't come crashing down, at least not in a way that I can't control, hopefully. And I've got some plans to get this thing ready because next week, assuming I'm able, I'm going to take this bike on a little bit of a tour. And I'll take you along with me for that. But before that happens, I've got a few different parts to add on. So if you're interested, stick around and stay tuned and we'll get into it. All right, so for the purposes of this video, what we're gonna get into is installing these radiator guards and oil cooler guards by Evotech. So Evotech Performance, they make parts for much different bikes, a lot of European, some Japanese bikes as well. I don't know if they make Harley or Indian parts. I guess you can look if you're curious. But they make a very good set of protection parts for the Multistrada. And I'll turn you around a little bit here in a second and show you what parts are vulnerable and what we're going to be protecting. But I got these off of a company called Motivation USA, motivationusa.com. They have an excellent selection of parts. Shipping was fast and the parts arrived as I would expect them to. So let's turn you around and we'll take a look at the Multi. All right, so here we are, up close and personal to my 2024 Multistrada V4S. In here, on either side of the front kind of cowling by the turn signal, you can see we have a radiator, and then we have a cooler, additional cooler up here. And the goal with those protective pieces is to obviously protect. Well, that was obvious. The goal with those pieces obviously is to keep the radiator safe. So if you're on the road and somebody kicks up a rock or a piece of debris, it doesn't puncture your radiator and cause what should be a relatively smooth on-road tour to all of a sudden get a little bit more adventurous. Adventure is great, but I'd prefer to protect the things I can. So let me start getting some of these things mounted up, or at least get them sized up to make sure they mount in the right spots, and I'll bring you back. All right, so the first thing we have to do is take off these side panels, which I've not had off before on this bike. So this is going to be a new experience. All right, so part of the fun of assembling these Evotech radiator guards is putting all the pieces together. And so what I'm doing is getting that done ahead of time. So here we have our rider side right radiator, or kind of angled radiator guard. See, I got a spacer here and some bungs here to hold this. And then I'm going to do that for the other one. All right, so they give you these little rubber bungs. They put a bunch together, and it's kind of a bit of a messed up scavenger hunt. You'll see that there is I'll show you here in just a second. Let me get this in here, maybe. There we go. All right, so see if the camera will properly show this. You can see I have this little rubber bung on here, and if you look closely over towards that side of this mesh grill, you'll see right here is a circular hole from all the hexagonal ones. And if you guessed that that's where you need to put the little back off bungs, little plate bungs, so it doesn't get squashed into the radiator, you're 100% correct. So that is what I am doing. That's what I'm doing now. It's not super difficult to get them in. There are basically one on each corner, so you total of 4. And then there is one that is just off of that center hole. See if I can locate it. So it should be down right here. So we'll put that in here. There we go. And then of course, like I said, we have 2 that are down here. And once you find them, they're not hard to find. Once you get them in, they're not super difficult to get to seats. Evotech, to their credit, doesn't give you a little baggie full of these things. They give you these strips of them, obviously mass produced, and then you can just rip off the little connectors to put these things together. This is good quality grills. They're lightweight, which you don't want to add weight. So I didn't want to add weight, I just wanted some protection. So these aren't horrible in that respect. And then you'll see here we have our spacer, a little button head screw, so we'll screw that on. Now I get the idea of what the little offset pieces do. I'm not sure what the spacer does, so that'll be interesting. We'll figure that out together. All right, so you can see that I have the bike in varying state of disrepair or in varying states of disassembly here on this side. And what I'm going to do is notice I have this side panel about half off, which I think will be enough for this. And what I'm going to do is put it in here. And of course, drop a bolt or a screw, button head screw. So now that it's in there, I can kind of reassemble this side, and I'll show you why. Wrench over here so we don't. Let's bring you over here. You can see me having some fun struggling to put this back together. All right, so all right, so it is the next morning, and the bike is off the lift if it's not obvious, and you'll see that I have one side of the bike taken apart. It's actually slightly put back together. But before we get into that kind of fun, let me show you where we're at. All right, if you look under here, you can see we have our Evotech oil cooler guard installed. You can see we have our radiator guard here on the rider's left installed. And a little bit further over there, you can see we have it rider right, at least nearly installed, and I'll explain why here in a second. So I had mentioned those little offsets earlier. And that's because all 3 of these little screens connect together. So got these 2 offsets over here on these corresponding radiator guards that they help act as the top mounting piece for the oil cooler guard. And these stainless offsets that are part of that Evotech kit also act as a mounting point. So now we have our Evotech oil cooler, as I said. We have our radiator guards installed. So the install wasn't bad, but that was not because of an abundance of information from the Evotech installation guide. I'll put a screenshot of part of the installation guide up here on the screen for you, and you can see that it looks like maybe they should have spent some more money on the resolution on their scanner, because this is a horrible picture to have to go off of for this particular piece of the install, and none of the other pieces of the install are any better. The pieces of the actual Evotech parts, as far as putting the rubber offsets and things of that nature in, weren't horrible, but yeah, this is kind of horrible. And the reason why I say it's horrible, because I showed you this side. So it'd be the rider left. There you go. See, I have it taken apart. I had to put in some new cable ties there to secure some wires. Not bad, worth doing, but it shouldn't have had to get that far. And let me explain to you why. If I come around over here to this side of the bike, you'll see that it is fully intact. It's fully assembled. And I was still able to install my radiator guard with no issue. So, do you have to take the bike apart to install these? No, you don't. Do the instructions tell you that you do? Yes, they do. we have a difference of opinion. And I will say that from the actual implementation of these are most certainly not required to have the bike apart to install. All right, I'm gonna finish these up. I'm actually sharing the holes that these radiator guards mount to with something else that I'm installing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those in, and then I will come back and show you kind of a final product, and we'll wrap this video up. All right, so it's been an hour or so now, and you'll see that it looks a little bit different than when last we spoke. I had already decided that I was going to install these Denali upper light mounts on the Multistrada. As you can see, the Denali brackets use the same holes as do my radiator, or Evotech radiator brackets. And they also have a cross piece and a spacer that wants to take advantage of the same hole where I had those stainless offsets for the water, or for the oil cooler guard. So we had a bit of a conflict. Here's what I did to fix it. I'm going to share this in the event that any of you are doing the same thing. Maybe I'm the only idiot out there, but I hope not. So what we have here is I am using the hardware from the Denali kit because it is longer and it fits both the radiator guard and the light mount in this case. And then there's a long, I think it's a 50 mil M5 bolt that is running through a spacer, which you may or may not be able to see in here from the lack of light, that is holding on the lower part of the oil cooler as well as that cross piece from the light mount. And if we go over here, you'll see we have the same setup, of course. Now, there is a cross piece that came with the Denali mount that I'm not using. Number one, the bolts aren't long enough to go through that and everything else, and that's okay. I think it'll be just fine. These are as stable as I would want them to be. I'm not putting huge lights on here. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of clearance for huge lights. But to get that Evotech oil cooler to accept the larger bolt, I did have to break out the drill gun. So nothing horrible. I think it really was more of just a case of I had to take the hole where this is fitting now and make it more round than oblong. And so just a couple runs, basically almost just to clean up the sides of that hole. Then the bolt fit in good. It's nice and snug. That oil cooler guard is on there tight while still keeping with still having the block offs or the rubber grommets there to help keep it off of the actual oil cooler itself. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I think this will work. And now I can move on to the other project I had for today, which is to install some lights. So if you're curious what I'm going to do there, what that looks like, what all that goes into that, or just kind of to see if I screw it up, because there's a good possibility that's going to happen, stick around and stay tuned. There is more to come on this project to get this bike ready for, like I said, a little bit of a road tour later on next week. Really do hope you got something out of this. This video was kind of oddly filmed because I had a lot of things going on, but I do hope you got something out of it. If you did, please give it a like. If you're curious what else we got going on, please subscribe. It really does help out the channel. And if it's conducive to ride where you are like it is over here, I hope you do so safely, and I will definitely see you in the next one.